Hey guys, Dr. Bodle here. Now, if you want to provide healing power for your thyroid while also supporting things like weight loss and improving your energy, then you need to be getting proper amounts of protein. In fact, getting your protein right might be one of the most important things that you do, and it's something that I work on with all of my patients and my students. But whether you're learning the importance of protein now, or if it was something that you were already aware of, you still might be making a few mistakes that could be impacting your ability to achieve your goals. So, to help you out, we're going to address two of the biggest areas where people go wrong in this video. And remember, if you like learning about natural strategies to improve your Hashimoto's, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're someone who needs a little bit more help, stick with me until the end of the video so you can get more details on how to sign up for my online course. Now, when it comes to protein intake, I often find that people with Hashimoto's simply aren't eating enough. I've often said before that we need to ignore the standard recommendations and think of ourselves more like an athlete. The point of that statement is to say that someone like an athlete has higher protein demands because their lifestyle is a little bit different. And in a slightly different way, the same thing goes for people with Hashimoto's. Their lifestyle and overall function is different because they're dealing with a chronic condition. And because your body is trying to do its best to heal, there is an increased demand for amino acids to facilitate that healing process. So, just like the protein recommendations for an athlete are higher because they're more active and trying to recover from intense activity, I think using that as a concept can be a great way to shape our strategies for people with Hashimoto's so that they can get better results and outcomes. But even if we do decide that we need to get more protein, the question then becomes how much? And I typically provide 3 reference points to people to help them get a better concept of what they should be looking for. These include, on the lower end of the estimate, consuming 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of ideal body weight, and on the higher end of the estimate, getting 1 gram of protein for every pound of ideal body weight. But if either of those calculations or estimates are a little too confusing, or you don't know which one to pick, then I'll often recommend as just a good standard general middle ground that people shoot for at least 100 grams of protein per day. But most of the time, the confusion isn't about what equation to pick or actually making that calculation. Instead, it revolves around accurately tracking how much protein you're really getting on a day-to-day basis. What many people end up doing is they track the total grams of a protein-rich food rather than the exact amount of protein within that food. So let me give you an example. So let's say, just for the ease of keeping things simple, you need to consume 100 grams of protein per day. So to help you achieve that goal, you cook a big batch of chicken breasts in the oven, and then what you do is you cut up some of those pieces, you weigh it on your food scale until it gets to 100 grams, which is about 3.5 ounces, and you say, great, job done, I've accomplished my goal. And this would be a totally normal and reasonable thing to think. We all know that chicken breast is a very high protein food. So if we select our high protein food and weigh it appropriately, then hopefully it wouldn't be any more complicated than that. But what we might be forgetting is that even though chicken breast is a high protein food, not everything in that chicken breast is protein. That total weight is also made up of fat within the chicken breast and water content. So if we weigh 100 grams of chicken breast on our scale, only a percentage of that is going to be grams of protein. And in fact, on average, 100 grams of chicken breast usually results in about 31 grams of protein. So if we set out our goal to be getting at least 100 grams of protein per day, but we're only consuming 100 grams of chicken breast, then the reality is we are way undershooting what we should probably be getting. In fact, we're less than a third of the way there. And this could become even more problematic if our protein demands are higher. Now keep in mind that when we are choosing different protein sources, there's going to be different amounts of fat and different amounts of water in that protein source. So while 100 grams of chicken breast provides us about 31 grams of protein, 100 grams of ground beef with an 80% protein, 20% fat mixture is only going to be about 17 or 18 grams of protein. So even though it can be a little bit of extra work in the beginning, if we want to get our protein right, we really need to stop treating all of our protein sources as providing the exact same amount based on their total weight. Instead, what I recommend is simply using Google. Search 100 grams of chicken breast protein, and it should give you an exact breakdown that lets you know the protein content. That way you can track things more accurately. But I know from experience that if you're only getting a third or less of your protein target, then you're not going to notice many improvements. So just remember, the total weight of a protein-rich food does not equal the exact amount of protein in that food. And the second thing would be, although we can have a lot of different protein-rich foods, the percentage of protein in those foods is going to vary depending on those other factors that we discussed. Chicken will be different than beef, beef will be different than fish, and different cuts of these animals will be different from one another. So make sure to get your Googling on and take some notes for the foods that you eat most often. Now, the second big mistake that can impact people's ability to get the right amount of protein is that whole concept of ideal body weight and using it in our protein calculation. So you might have noticed that when I said 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight, or 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight, I didn't say of current body weight, I said of ideal body weight. Well, what does that really mean? Honestly, it can be a little bit difficult to define because there is no one absolute or single answer for each individual. And we know that to be the case because we don't have to be absolutely perfect when making these calculations, and people can still get really good results. So rather than thinking of ideal body weight as a singular truth or number, understand that it's really more of a commonly used placeholder. And that's because if there is a mistake that we want to avoid, it's using our current body weight to guide our selections. Whether our body weight is too low and we're trying to gain weight, or our body weight is too high and we're trying to lose weight, if we use either one of those situations to try to determine our protein goal, we are either going to undershoot what we actually need or dramatically overshoot. Using a concept like ideal body weight helps us to find more of a middle ground and something that is likely a bit more beneficial to our physiology and healing. The way that I like to determine ideal body weight in the easiest and most effective manner is to use an ideal body weight height to weight chart. Now, are these charts perfect? No, they're not. There's a lot of different equations that can be used that'll give a variance of answers and different ranges. And some people have argued that these particular weights that they recommend are over idealized and maybe unrealistic for people with thyroid conditions. I think an important point to make here is I'm not saying that someone should necessarily be at that weight. If that's a goal for you and you think it's healthy based on all of your other symptoms, then that's totally fine. But in this particular situation, we're not so much using it as a way to set a goal for your ideal weight. Instead, we're just using it as a reference point to calculate protein. And typically when we do that, things do line up favorably for us. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're getting enough protein to affect changes in things like our weight and our energy and our thyroid symptoms as a whole. But we also don't want to be under eating protein, as is the problem with most people, as we said. And we also don't want to be overeating, essentially stuffing ourselves and feeling uncomfortable because we think we have to reach some particular number to achieve those changes. We need to make protein a priority, but we don't want to make ourselves feel uncomfortable in the process. Using a height to weight chart can be a helpful way to do that, and it might give you an aha moment if you're someone who's maybe closer to 200 pounds and wants to lose 50 pounds, but feels like the protein recommendations for someone who is 200 pounds is just too much for your system to handle. By shifting your perspective and calculating things based off that 150 pound mark, you'll likely make things a lot easier on yourself and still be able to achieve those positive outcomes. As I often like to point out, calculating these kinds of numbers can be helpful for us because they provide us with context and structure. But at the same time, Just like with our thyroid labs, we don't want to get stuck treating the numbers. We always want to focus on you as a person and see how your health and function are responding. So hopefully, going over these two concepts today helped you to better understand what your protein intake should actually look like. And if you've been making some mistakes, now you can course correct and ideally get some better results. But remember, even if you're doing everything right, these calculations are still just a best guess. Use them to get you in the ballpark, but always adjust based on your needs. This is always an area that I get a lot of questions on, and as I said, hopefully this made things more clear. But if you have any additional questions or need any further support, leave me a comment below and I'll do my best to get back to it. If you like the video, but you need some extra help and support and you're interested in working with me, then I'd recommend sending an email to contact@seattlethyroidhelp.com and getting some more information about my online course, Natural Hashimoto's Transformation. In the course, I help women with Hashimoto's who are suffering from low thyroid symptoms but aren't getting any help from their doctor, and they feel overwhelmed by trying to make changes on their own because of all the information that's out there. I'll help you to take back control of your health and start feeling like yourself again by providing you with the exact information you need and an action plan to make real changes. In addition to all of the information that's provided in the course, there's also weekly live question and answer sessions and a community Facebook group. That way you can get all of the extra support you need and answer any questions that might come up. I've been supporting people with Hashimoto's for almost a decade now, and I always believe that there is hope for improvement. We just need to make sure that you're being supported in the right way. So if this sounds like something that you might be interested in, send me a message so we can find some time to hop on a call and chat and make sure that it's the right fit. If you're not ready to commit to the course, you can keep learning by checking out some of my other YouTube videos, following me on Instagram or Facebook, or by grabbing either one of my free downloads, which are linked in the description box. But that's it for this one. Thank you for watching. Thanks for all the love and support. And I hope that you can continue to make changes and see positive improvements. If you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really does mean a lot to me. But my name is Dr. Bodle. I hope that you have a great rest of your week, and I will see you in the next one.